So you were talking about the collective consciousness of humanity. And so when I think about all the things over my lifetime that are in my vortex, like health and the environment thriving and equality and safety and enough food and all of these wonderful creative things in my vortex, and so many others of us have this now, and do you see a way that this community and all of our other communities that are concerned with awakening consciousness and bringing our combined brilliance and intelligence to having these miraculous breakthroughs and solutions and solving these things that were problems in the old paradigm, do you see a way that we can more actively co-create this?
No. Because the premise is flawed. Because in everything that you were saying, even though you were using all of the positive words of what you want, you are still trying to fix a problem.
Okay.
And in other words, fixing the problem is the step one part of the equation. That's where you're identifying that something needs to be better, or that you would like something to be better. Mm-hmm. But you've come so much further than that. In other words, when we say to you that everyone who asks has a vortex version that comes into place immediately, and that all that is required for the realization of that as individuals or as a collective humanity is to come into alignment with it, then the very context of the question that you were offering was about a humanity that needed to be uplifted, about problems that needed to be solved. You see, and that's the thing that's tripping so many of you up, and it's really what we've been talking about all day here today. You have to be selfish enough that you're reaching for the solution within you. And the solution within you, right here and right now, is finding a thought that gives you ease, right here, right now. That's how you get out ahead of it. So when you look at a world and all of its potential problems that are there, or all of the existing problems that are there, and then you say, hey, Abraham, here we all are, enlightened beings who are listening to you and who are understanding about our inner beings and who are connecting to this energy that creates worlds. Can we all hook up to this energy, and can we flow this energy toward a world that isn't allowing, and can we be of more benefit? And we want to say to you, you cannot garner more energy than is already being flowed toward that world. In other words, you're leaving out of the equation the fact that source is already on it, and that everyone is already the object of attention of all of that, you see. There's got to be, it's not about gathering the energy and then focusing it and getting enough people focusing upon it that you're strong enough with your energy to make changes, because everybody individually gets to allow or disallow the energy that's already being beamed to them. That's why we say your dog is trying to teach you that, and everybody else on the planet would benefit from it just as well. Also, is if you stop holding those who are victim or those who are problem as your long-term objects of attention, and instead you begin focusing upon the world and finding it in your own experience individually. In other words, we haven't been able to convince you on one subject that we were conversing about here today. We have not been able to convince you to let go of your resistance quite yet. And yet you want to take all of that concentration and focus it back on the world. And we say, that is the problem. That's not the solution. Are you following what we're getting at? The solution is just finding something to give you ease now, and then finding something else to give you ease now, and then finding something else to give you ease now, because you understand the process is 3 steps. You've already asked. It's already in the vortex. Source has already answered it. The answers are already there. The energy is already flowing. So the question that you want to ask as an uplifter and a healer to humanity is, what can I do? Yeah. What can I do to inspire others to a releasing of the resistance and allowing of the well-being that is natural to them? Right. And we say, you got to let the dog die if it wants to. You just got to let things be as they are, while you claim something that you think would be better, and then you give that your attention, but not by looking back in an attitude of needing to fix what is broken, you see. We so want you to feel the well-being that abounds. And humans, we love you so much, but you are so stuck in step 1. of exploring the contrast and knowing what you don't want and wanting to fix it. And you think that you're solution-oriented when you're clamoring about the problems. And your words were the most beautiful words that we've heard, and we feel the power of your desire. But they were pointed toward the problem, and therefore that's why it still felt like something that you were looking for rather than something that you had found.
So can you just focus on the solutions and the upliftment and more well-being and more freedom and possibility and co-create and move momentum towards that then on a global level?
And that's exactly what you were doing. But here's the step that is going to make it easier for you. So the contrast makes you know what you want, and you're accepting, for the most part, that it's already in the vortex. Mm-hmm. And you've heard us say that the vibrational frequency of the question is different than the frequency of the answer. Mm-hmm. And the vibrational frequency of the problem is different than the frequency of the solution. Mm-hmm. So many teachers, healers, uplifters, take what they've learned from us and they say, all right, the contrast has helped me to identify the problem, and now I'm going to focus upon the solution. And we say, no, you're not. You're saying that you are, and you're wanting to, but you're too close. When the problem and the solution are so close in your conversation, even though you think you're pointed toward the solution, you're not. You're still clamoring about the problem because you're still on the subject that's still active within you. And on any subject, you've got a vibrational pattern already established. And if the problem is the pattern that's the most established, then even though you're trying to look at the solution, you're not. You're looking at it, you're giving it lip service, you're saying the right words, you're well-meaning, but the very fact that it is such a recent problem is still active in your vibration, and so you're still
trying to move away from the problem.
And that's what's been happening in this whole conversation that we've been having with you.
Yeah.
So what's the solution?
How do you just move towards this new future and energize and create that?
By leaving the subject that has been such a recent problem aside for a little while and focusing upon things that are easy. By stop trying to change the world, by no longer wanting to save the guy who has already made his decision that he's going to make his transfer into non-physical, by minding your own business, by tending to the things that you can tend to, by caring about feeling good, by chasing the ball more and wagging your tail more. And Esther was playing with grandchildren the other night, and she had an hour before their bedtime. What do you want to do, she says. And they can't choose because Kate is a girl and Luke is a boy, and Kate is older and Luke is younger, and they don't want exactly to do the same things. They couldn't decide on anything. And Esther said, well, then let's go watch television. Kate says, no, that will make the time go too fast. We only have an hour. And what she wanted, both of them, all three of them, from this hour, was the best that this hour could produce. The best, the very best that it could produce. So as Esther had gone down the list of possibilities and nothing had sounded good, Esther thought something new that we haven't done before. So she finds a porcelain wastebasket that looked like it never had anything in it and brings it into the living room and takes the beaded coasters that are really a good weight, a stack of 8 of them, and begins lobbing them into the wastebasket. So much fun. So much fun. Shiny beaded things going into the shiny porcelain thing. So much fun. Sometimes they skidded under the furniture. Sometimes they went over there. So much fun. Something new to do. Something new to do. Something new and fun to do. Something that I haven't thought about before. Something that I haven't decided I'm good or bad at before. Something that somebody else hasn't been better than me at before. Something that I haven't been bored with before. Something that evokes something new from me before. Something simple. Something simple and fun. How do I know it's fun? How do I know it's fun? How do I know it's fun? Because I'm having fun. How do I know it's fun? Because I'm having fun. How do I know it feels good? Because it feels good. These are very simple answers, you see. It feels good. It feels good. And we have to tell you that lobbing shiny beaded things into a wastebasket for a few hours would solve the problems of the world. Because in doing that, you have withdrawn your attention from the things that are bothering you. You're not faking your solution orientation by grinding away at the problem. You are in this place where you're doing something that is new. You're flowing in a way that you're allowing source to flow through you. And it was astonishing to Esther to see the accuracy that those children had with something that they had never done before. Tuned in, tapped in, turned on, inspired action coming straight from source and providing for them the best hour and 30 minutes, they were a little past bedtime, that they'd experienced in a very long time, you see. Life is supposed to feel good to you. And in your quest to make it the best or make it the rightest or do the most or be compared with someone else, you get so far off track. And if you could just remember that it's just moment by moment feeling good. If the walk feels good, then do it really often. Do the things that feel the best really, really often. And watch what happens. Because, friends, you have put enough into your vortex to keep yourselves, we're not kidding you at all, busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes just in the realization and the manifestation of the grid filling in from that vortex. You are not lacking anything that is ready to fill in, but you are wanting to prepare your grids. And you don't prepare your grids with intellectual conversations. You don't prepare your grids by trying to find the rightness or the wrongness of something. You prepare your grid by finding something that's fun to do and focusing upon it as long as it's fun to do it, and then looking for something else. And when someone says to you, do you want to do that? And you don't want to do that, don't do that. When Esther said, what about that? They said, no, we've been there. We've done that. We've milked that. That's not new for us. That's not what we expect from an hour with you, Grandma. We expect something way more than that with an hour with you, and we are not willing to settle for anything less, you see. We've enjoyed this interaction immensely.
Thank you, Esther.
There is great love here for you. And always we remain joyously, blissfully, and stubbornly in the vortex.